Netanyahu scolds Israeli Security Minister for releasing videos taunting detained flotilla activists. Add AP News as your preferred source to see more of our stories on Google. Add AP News on Google. Add AP News as your preferred source to see more of our stories on Google. Share Jerusalem app. Israel's national security minister drew a sharp rebuke from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and triggered a backlash abroad Wednesday after releasing videos taunting detained flotilla activists who tried to breach Israel's blockade of Gaza, telling them they should be imprisoned for a long time. Netanyahu said that although Israel has every right to stop provocative flotillas of Hamas terrorist supporters, the way National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir dealt with the activists was not in line with Israel's values and norms. Ben-Gvir released videos Wednesday showing him walking among some of the approximately 430 detainees. In one, activists with their hands tied behind their backs are kneeling, their heads touching the floor inside what appears to be a makeshift detention area and on the deck of a ship. "Welcome to Israel. We are the landlords," says Ben-Gvir, waving a large Israeli flag. One handcuffed activist shouts "Free Palestine" as Ben-Gvir walks by and is immediately pushed to the ground by security personnel. In another video, Ben-Gvir says the activists came here all full of pride like big heroes. "Look at them now," while appealing to Netanyahu to grant him permission to imprison them. Israel's leader calls for quick deportation of activists. "I say to Prime Minister Netanyahu, give them to me for a long time, give them to us for the terrorist prisons," Ben-Gvir said. Netanyahu said he's given instructions that the activists be deported as soon as possible. Ben-Gvir drew the ire of Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar, who publicly chastised his fellow minister on X, saying, "You knowingly caused harm to our state in this disgraceful display." "No, you are not the face of Israel," Sa'ar wrote. Read more. Ben-Gvir shot back at Sa'ar in the Israeli parliament, accusing him of bowing to the terrorists and that any Israeli apology to the activists would send a message of weakness, submission and surrender. Israel's Minister of National Security, Itamar Ben-Gvir, in the Israeli parliament during a session considering a bill to dissolve the government in Jerusalem Wednesday, May 20, 2026. AP photo/Ohad Zwigenberg, Israel's Minister of National Security, Itamar Ben-Gvir, in the Israeli parliament during a session considering a bill to dissolve the government in Jerusalem Wednesday, May 20, 2026. AP photo/Ohad Zwigenberg. Add AP News on Google. Add AP News as your preferred source to see more of our stories on Google. Share Facebook, copy link, copied print, email, X, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Flipboard, Pinterest, Reddit. Read more. Israel accused of humiliating activists. An Israel-based legal advocacy group, the Legal Center for Arab Minority Rights in Israel, or Itamar, accused Israeli authorities of employing a criminal policy of abuse and humiliation against activists. Idalar's statement said this followed similar patterns of ill treatment by Israeli authorities against activists in previous flotilla missions, for which Israel faced zero accountability. Itamar lawyer Suhad Bishara told the Associated Press a group of 11 lawyers who visited the detainees is aware of at least 2 activists who were hospitalized after being shot with rubber bullets for no reason, without any justification. Bishara said the activists will be brought before a judge Thursday who will decide on when their deportation will begin. Flotilla spokesperson Rania Beatrice said Ben-Gvir posts such videos because the world hasn't held Israel to account. If they are doing that to Europeans and Americans and people from South Africa and all over the world, imagine what they are doing to the Palestinian people, Beatrice told the AP in an online interview. Beatrice urged governments to step up their response. "Strongly worded letters are not what we need right now. We need more action." British Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper said the video violates the most basic standards of respect and dignity in how people should be treated and demanded an explanation from Israeli authorities. Italy condemned the detained activists' treatment as a violation of human dignity and called Ben-Gvir's videos unacceptable. It also summoned Israel's ambassador in Rome to protest the treatment of Italian detainees and demand their immediate release. Canadian Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand said she's directed her officials to summon the Israeli ambassador to Ottawa. Both Turkey and Greece condemned Israel's treatment of the activists. The Turkish Foreign Ministry said the behavior openly demonstrated to the world the violent and barbaric mindset of Israel's government. The Greek Foreign Ministry called Ben-Gvir's actions unacceptable and entirely condemnable and said it had lodged a formal protest. Palestinian militant group Hamas called out Ben-Gvir for the scenes of abuse and humiliation of the activists, saying they show Israel's moral decadence and sadism. Israeli naval forces sail a confiscated Gaza-bound flotilla boat into Israel's Ashdod port after intercepting the vessel on the Mediterranean Sea, Tuesday, May 19, 2026. AP photo/Ariel Shalit. Israeli naval forces sail a confiscated Gaza-bound flotilla boat into Israel's Ashdod port after intercepting the vessel on the Mediterranean Sea, Tuesday, May 19, 2026. AP photo/Ariel Shalit. Add AP News on Google. Add AP News as your preferred source to see more of our stories on Google. Share Facebook, copy link, copied print, email X, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Flipboard, Pinterest, Reddit. Read more. Israel intercepts all remaining flotilla boats. Israeli forces on Tuesday boarded the last of the flotilla boats that tried to challenge the blockade, the latest effort to highlight the grim conditions for nearly 2 million Palestinians in Gaza. Flotilla organizers claimed Israeli soldiers fired on 5 boats during the interdictions, causing some damage. Israel's foreign ministry said no live ammunition was fired and that non-lethal means were aimed at the vessels as a warning, but without targeting or injuring protesters. Israeli forces had begun stopping the flotilla, which had departed last week from Turkey, around 268 kilometers 167 miles from the Gaza coastline, according to the flotilla's website. Israel has called the flotilla a PR stunt at the service of Hamas with no real intent to deliver aid to Gaza. The boats carry a symbolic amount of aid. On Monday, the Israeli Navy stopped 41 boats from the flotilla in international waters off Cyprus and detained those on board. More than a dozen Irish nationals were aboard the flotilla, including Irish President Catherine Connolly's sister. Irish Prime Minister Michael Martin has called Israel's interception of the boats in international waters absolutely unacceptable. The U.S. Treasury, however, imposed sanctions against several European activists aboard the flotilla, which U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent called pro-terror. Gaza's coast blockaded for nearly 2 decades. Israel has maintained a sea blockade of Gaza since Hamas took control of the territory in 2007. Israeli authorities intensified it after the Hamas-led militant attacks on southern Israel that killed around 1,200 people and saw more than 250 taken hostage on Oct. 7, 2023. Critics say the blockade amounts to collective punishment. Israel says it's intended to prevent Hamas from arming itself. Egypt, which has the only border crossing with Gaza not controlled by Israel, has also greatly restricted movement in and out. Israel's retaliatory offensive following the Oct. 7 attacks that started the war has killed more than 72,700 people, according to Gaza's health ministry. The ministry, part of Gaza's Hamas-run government, doesn't give a breakdown between civilians and combatants. It is staffed by medical professionals who maintain and publish detailed records viewed as generally reliable by the international community. Hadjikostes reported from Nicosia, Cyprus. Associated Press journalists Arij Hasbaun, Isaac Shaf, and Ibrahim Hasbaun in Jerusalem, Sani Magdi in Cairo, Jair Zampano in Rome, Andrew Wilkes in Ankara, Turkey, and Derek Gatapoulos in Athens, Greece, contributed to this report.